A dog runs up and sort of incites the bear to run after it. And then the dog runs back to the owner. That's the worst case scenario. What's up, guys? Iceman here. So this story is about a woman who ventured off to a remote island in Canada along with her family, and something devastating happened to her. But before I get into it, I'd like to thank you guys for all your support on this channel, and welcome to all my new subscribers. If you guys want to help me out, you can like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit the bell so you're notified next time I post a video. And if you want to support me further, you can become a channel member or a patron. Links in the description below. And blessings to my channel members and my patrons, as you guys make these videos possible. So let's get into this chilling tale. This fatal bear attack takes us to the beautiful and remote Red Pine Island, surrounded by towering, fragrant red pine trees on a remote 7-acre island. Red Pine Island is located on Rainy Lake, which is a large lake situated on the border between Minnesota in the United States and Ontario in Canada. Red Pine Island is a popular destination for fishing, boating, and outdoor recreation. It is known for its beautiful scenery and abundant wildlife, including bald eagles, ospreys, and loons. The island is also home to several species of trees, including red pine, which, of course, is where the island gets its name. There are several outfitters and lodges in the area that offer guided fishing trips, boat rentals, and other recreational activities. All the reason as to why Catherine and her parents chose to venture out on that fateful day, seeking refuge, privacy, and solitude, only to find a swift and merciless death. Catherine was a beautiful woman who enjoyed spending time outdoors with her 2 Shih Tzus. She desired a life of peace and nature, and as lonely as she was throughout the years, she enjoyed every moment. She would birdwatch, hike long wooded trails, and research various plants for the medicinal properties. She ventured outside in the evening to gather some rose hips. Her 2 dogs, excitingly, followed her and kept in her vicinity. Her mother and father reclined back at the small cabin, still enjoying their morning coffee. "Look what I found!" Catherine shouted with glee upon her return. "I can make a tincture out of these and sell them in my Etsy store when we get home." But getting home was no longer a prospect of reality for Catherine, as that very evening, something horrific would happen to her. Black bears are excellent swimmers and are known to swim across large bodies of water, such as lakes and rivers, in search of food or to reach new territories. They have a natural ability to swim long distances and can swim for several miles without getting tired. In fact, swimming is an important skill for black bears, as it allows them to access food sources, such as fish and aquatic plants, that may not be available on land. Black bears are also known to swim to avoid predators, including humans, and to escape danger. It's worth noting that while black bears are strong swimmers, it's important to give them plenty of space and avoid getting too close, especially when they are in the water. Like all wild animals, black bears can be unpredictable, and it's important to always respect their space and observe them from a distance. Unfortunately, for the Content family, the 2 Shih Tzus somehow escaped the cabin on their own that evening. They pushed open the flimsy screen door and made their way to the forest edge and beyond in pursuit of mischief and play. Catherine darted after them on her own, knowing the dogs can be pests without supervision and at times difficult to retrieve. She made her way to the forest edge on the small remote island and noticed a hiking trail leading to the sounds of her barking companions. Catherine's sandals would stick to the mud as she unpreparedly pursued the frantic sounds ahead of her, making her travel less than desirable. As the dogs could still be heard barking up ahead, she noticed something large and black move to her right off the trail. She caught the large black blur in the corner of her eye, something quiet but fast, and big. She didn't think much of it and continued forward, calling to her dogs. All of a sudden, the dogs came charging from around the bend of the trail and toward her, yelping frantically. Close behind, a large black bear was chasing them down the trail and toward Catherine. Its head lifted and eyes widened the moment it noticed Catherine up ahead. But the bear was so heavy, it couldn't stop at that point, nor did it entirely want to. Catherine stood there in shock, frozen in fear and awe, as if time stopped. She had no time to react. She was awestruck by the magnificent and formidable creature, its mass, the way its fat and muscle shifted as it moved, how maneuverable it was. The dogs circled around her, barking at the bear, and according to the terrain of the scene, the bear skidded to a near halt before charging Catherine and tackling her to the ground. At that point, she tried to fight it with her arms, but the bear hissed and howled as it utilized its monstrous forearms and paws to hold down Catherine, preventing her from plucking at its face in defense. It clenched its jaws around her beautiful, flawless face and began pulling and tugging with ferocity. Its yellow fangs pierced into her cheek and chin, covering her entire face with its mouth clenched around it. The dogs barked and barked, startling the bear as it shifted its attention for only a moment, huffing and swatting the pets away so it could continue fighting the greater threat. It tore into her body and again wrapped its jaws around her face as it pulled and pulled, the smell of rotting flesh and fish, the gurgling, the snarls, and the moans, the death all around. Eventually, the dogs returned back to the cabin, alone. Catherine's parents grew concerned as there was no sign of Catherine, and they called out for her to nothing. They ended up calling the police, and it took them 30 minutes by boat to reach the island. And as they sifted through the thicket and the mud and the forestry, they noticed on the other side Catherine's deceased body, blood engulfing the scene, and the ground torn up beneath her. The police noticed 3 different black bears on the scene, but it's uncertain if they were all involved in the attack, and quite unlikely. One of the bears was acting extremely aggressive and was found standing on top of Catherine's body. The bear was shot and killed on the scene, and the other bears eluded the officers, hiding into the thick brush. It was dark and dangerous, so the police ended up taking Catherine's body along with the bears for further investigation. Jeez. What do you guys think about that? It's crazy how some of these bears tend to attack. I've actually read that it's very common with sloth bears, who are commonly found in India, to actually attempt to rip off human faces when they attack humans. To my understanding, sloth bears feed on various hard fruits, so they kind of do to the person's face what they do to the fruit when they try to dig into it and eat it. Of course, this wasn't a sloth bear, it was an American black bear. But sometimes it seems, in regards to attacks, they just go for whatever human body part they deem to be the most vulnerable at the time. And I'm sure if they cause it to bleed, they're going to continue attacking it. But what's crazy is how, once again, this was a situation that involved dogs. And especially if they're not formidable dogs, it seems likely, the little yappy ones anyway, will really just lead a bear back to you. And I think what happens in these situations, and most likely what happened here, is the dogs were freaking the bear out, but the bear decides to fight back in defense. The dogs run away knowing they can't really take the bear, so it leads the bear back to the human. The dogs circle around the human, and the bear sees the human, reacting perhaps accordingly to the fearful sight of the creature. And being so up close and personal at that time, the bear decides to attack, perhaps as a means of defending itself. But then I think they end up taking advantage of the situation. And in the moment of the attack, even if it were a defensive attack, it quickly turns to predatory. Because as many of us know, black bears are extremely opportunistic and eat pretty much anything they can, including humans. But it's crazy how small the island was where Catherine and her parents stayed, and how you probably wouldn't think that you'd see bears there. But apparently these black bears can swim for miles and miles. So it seems to me you're really not safe anywhere, and you should always be prepared while in bear country. According to my research, there wasn't any sign of protection being carried by Catherine or her parents. No sign of pepper spray, and perhaps, predictably, no hand cannon. So I hope, at the least, this story can be a reminder for a few things. To keep your dogs on a damn leash, unless if they're big aggressive dogs that aren't going to screw you over in the end and are well trained to come back to you on call. And in addition to that, carry a freaking means of protection. But damn, I really just pity this family and anyone who has to go through such a thing. I can't imagine being on vacation and it ending in such a way. But let me know your thoughts on this attack in the comments below. And if you guys will like this video, subscribe to the page, and stay tuned for more chilling tales from the Iceman.